Hello there and welcome to the Brassettes podcast number 4. In this episode I chat to Jennifer Coupland, who has retired from the Royal Marines Band after 24 years. It's great to hear her story. I'm good, thank you. Yeah, getting over a cold.
Oh dear.
I think everybody is, aren't there, at the moment? It's a bit of a nightmare.
It is. It's really cold, isn't it?
Yeah, and everybody's got the lurgy. Yeah, but apart from that, I'm all right.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if I sound a bit sniffly.
Oh, don't worry about that. Don't worry.
So it's like, have you had a good Christmas? Everything all?
Yes, we had a really good Christmas. It was my dad's 70th Christmas Eve, so there's lots of celebrating just a couple of days leading up to Christmas. And then the weather kind of went a bit weird, and it got really, really cold, and then the snow's come, and then we've been snowed in. Schools have been shut.
Yeah.
So it's been like an extended Christmas leave, really. But I can't believe we're into the middle of January, aren't we?
I know, the time's just flown, hasn't it? I know. Are you back at school now then? Because you
so Lily started last week, and I've started back at school, working in my little school that I'm at. And we're just doesn't take you long to get into the swing of things, does it?
I know, that's the thing, isn't it? It doesn't, does it? You know,
no.
Distant memory now, all them carols.
I know it is, isn't it? I know.
You know.
All that work, I know.
So I've written a few things down here, Jen, and I was so you've had an interesting career, and you're only young now, aren't you? You know what I mean?
I don't know about that.
Stuff. Of course you are. You're younger than me. So like you started off playing cornet, didn't you, first?
Yeah, well, actually, I think I got given a baritone. So my dad's euphonium, my mum's trombone, and then my two aunties, one was a baritone and one was a tenor horn player when they were young and they were in the band.
Yeah.
And I think they found it out in the loft, in grandma's loft. So I think I got given did I get given a tenor horn first to try? And I think my sister got a baritone, and my dad tried, and my sister didn't quite take to it. But I did. And then I think I went on to the baritone, because I think they just needed a baritone player within the little band, Lambar Brass at the time, which was bigger than me, the baritone. It's bigger than what you think it is, especially when you're 8 years old.
As if you were only 8, I didn't realise you were that.
Yeah. So I started both violin and cornet and baritone around the same time, really. I did want to give the violin up. But mum and dad were like, no, we want you to stick at it, give it a bit of time, because it is a bit of a tricky instrument. And I'm so glad I did. And my dad, and off I went to the band with my dad, really. I think there was Lambar Brass Junior Band.
Yeah.
So I used to go along to that, and I brought a few friends with me, and it just became a regular thing, and it kept me out of trouble and all that jazz. But I remember from a really young age, going to the band room and sitting in the corner, taking a colouring book with my sister. And there was Jackie Barnes, and we used to sit in the corner, and Dad used to go to the rehearsals, and so it was kind of chiselled into me at a very young age, really, and the brass band world, and that's all I really knew.
See, that's it, isn't it? So you've come from all your mum and dad both playing, your sister. So like your mum and dad are like Chris Coupland and Josie, and like they've like played all the time, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then like, because they're playing at Tees Components Brass now with us. And that's it. I think it is, isn't it? When you've got that kind of like you've been supported, haven't you? You know, you can keep. It's nice to be able to like get you along.
Yeah. And I owe everything to that. All my life's just been music, really. So I owe everything to that, to my parents for getting me to where I ended up. But yeah, I loved it, and I think along the way as I got older into the teens, it was Crawford Hall, the late Crawford Hall, bless him.
Oh,
He took me aside and he said, "Oh, Jen, I think you'll get more out of it being a cornet player." He said, "There's
yeah.
your big band, your little ensembles, better music parts." Well, I wouldn't say better, but like a bit more of a
Yeah.
challenge, maybe.
Yeah.
And it was because of him. He started teaching me. Um,
Really, I didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah, he started teaching me.
Oh, yes, Crawford, didn't
And
you?
oh yeah, and what a laugh we used to have in the conservatory at home when he used to come round after school and give me a lesson, honestly. But he took me through me grade 5, I think it was grade 5, when I was maybe 14, 15. And at this point, I decided that I was gonna join the Royal Marines Band as a trumpet player. Um, and he obviously had his military background as well, so
Oh, yeah.
he was a great support and always encouraging me to to go down the military route, really, as well as David Trey. David Trey
Oh,
once,
David Gray, yes.
yeah,
Yes, he was
he
military background, didn't he?
yeah, so he took me aside as well. When I think we were at might have been Great Broughton Show or something like that.
Yeah.
It was just a little fake gig, and he took me aside and he said, "Jen," he said, "honestly, if it's music you want to do and you don't want to teach it and you
Mm.
want to play, the Royal Marines Band is exactly what you need to do." He said, and
Brilliant.
I think he did like 11, 12 years in the Royal Marines Band himself.
Oh,
Yeah, so again with Crawford and Dave Trey, they're both like, yeah, and I've never looked back really.
fantastic.
Um, so it's
That,
all because I'd never even heard of the Royal Marines Band.
so it's, oh,
so
so that's
so
it, isn't it? So having them
yeah,
two
I
giving you,
didn't.
oh, yeah,
When
just
you're 14, 15-year old, you don't really know what's out there,
no,
do you?
no, well, that's the thing, isn't it? You don't, do you? You know,
No.
and especially like I know, like it's a lot different now because like the youngsters are more involved, like internet wise and everything. But like a
Yeah,
few, going back a little bit,
didn't
it
have
was
all
very
that.
different. I know it was very
Yeah,
different when we were kids. We
yeah,
didn't even have the internet. You know what I mean? So it was just
yeah,
we were in our very like because we were all like North Skelton Junior Band, so like we
yeah,
had our own like little bubble, and we didn't really like we just did what we did. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
So, and
Totally
I think
oblivious to everything
totally
else. Yeah,
oblivious until we got a bit older, and then we like went in the youth band and that. But like that's the thing, isn't it? There's so many opportunities out there, and I think that it's great, isn't it? That
yeah, it is.
you joined up when you how old were you when you
So
joined up?
I'd done my GCSEs. I went down for an audition just before I did my GCSEs, and that was a shock to the system, to say the least. That was like that was a fitness test. That was an interview. What else? There was a medical. There was an audition, obviously. So I took my violin and my trumpet down, played him a little something. I can't remember what I played, but
Yeah,
absolute nervous wreck. Like first time with a suit on, trying to impress and all that
yeah,
jazz.
yeah,
And
and having to
yeah, and then I came home from because that was in Portsmouth as well. I had to get myself
Oh, did you?
all the way to Portsmouth by myself.
Yeah. Oh,
So
right.
yeah, which is obviously a really big thing.
Mm.
And even for my mum and dad, I think they were worried sick. Like,
Yeah, that's
and
it, isn't
and
it?
we didn't have a mobile phone, so they couldn't check if I'd arrived there or
Mm.
if like the London Underground by myself. And but anyway, I managed it. So and then came back and did my GCSEs, and then I got the letter through the door saying congratulations. So yeah, I was
Oh,
literally
amazing. Yeah.
16 and a half I was. And off I went. I remember I had a big party in the back garden,
Oh.
and I didn't have a clue what I was going to get myself into.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was the rest is history. It was brilliant. Loved it.
Oh, how fantastic. And look at the career you've had, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
been there's always been always something new, always a surprise, always a spanner in the works. All
yeah,
and but you just it's been brilliant. I've done all sorts, been to all sorts of countries, um, been involved in Edinburgh tattoos, in Australia, in Edinburgh, good old Edinburgh, which is absolutely amazing if no one's seen it. If you've got to see it,
yeah.
absolutely, definitely
I've
something.
never been up to the Edinburgh
Oh,
Tattoo. I'd
it
love to. I love
is.
watching it on the telly, but I would love to go
Yeah,
and see it for
yeah.
real.
It's amazing.
But
But
imagine
yeah,
being part of that then.
yeah. It
Yeah.
was. It was amazing. I think my first one was 2005. I think my first one, and I was one of the soloists out the front on my violin.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Um, I think there was 4 violin players and, like, just thousands of people in the crowd every night for a month, and then you
Amazing.
just walk out with your violin.
Yeah, for a month. Dear me, yeah,
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 every night for a month we did that.
brilliant.
But yeah, but before all that, the training itself, you do 15 weeks military training.
Yeah.
So, and when I joined up when I was 16, I had my hair, which was it wasn't long and it wasn't short. It was just that
Mm.
awkward length.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I turned up, and straight away they looked at me. They went, "Haircut,
Oh,
haircut, Coupland," and I was like, "Okay, okay, Sergeant." So off I went. It didn't take me long, and I was off down to the barbers, and I was like, "I need my hair cut in." They were like, "Well, what do you want us to do with it?" And I said, it all has to come off." So they literally cut my hair so short, and I did. I looked like a little boy at 16 with my hair all cut off, and
oh,
all the lads got all their heads shaved.
yeah.
And we did 15 weeks military training. We were up at the crack of dawn. We were making hospital corner bed on our beds and making all these weird and wonderful things on. I called it a Wednesday bed. Where you kind of made a sandwich out of all your sheets. It was,
Oh, right.
yeah, and then you're ironing everything. You learn how to iron. Never really ironed before.
See, that's it. All these things that you learn,
Yeah,
isn't it? Thing,
yeah,
mate.
yeah, and then you get given a rifle, and you learn how to
Wow, yeah.
shoot, and you didn't touch your cornet, or you didn't touch your instrument for 15 weeks. It was
15
literally,
weeks doing the
yeah,
training.
and you learn how to march, and
Yeah.
yeah, and then you do a pass out, which is like such a relief to get to the end,
I
and all
bet. I
and all
bet.
your parents and all your friends and
Oh,
family, and
yeah. To be so proud to come into that. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So,
and
sorry, so
yeah,
how many girls was there in your who
So
started
in
together?
my troop, we started with 9. The first
Yeah,
week one there was 9 girls, but we were only left with 5.
right.
Because a lot of them they're just straight away hands up and said, "No, this is not for me."
Just yeah.
Yeah,
And
or
that, and yeah.
because you
And
don't know
that's the
until you
thing.
give it a
And
go.
you don't know, do you? And you'll get that both
No,
male and female, won't you? You know, that's
yeah,
it, isn't it? You have to give it a go. And if it's not for you, it's like everything in
yeah,
life, isn't it?
yeah.
But
But I
like I
think,
can imagine what a commitment, you know, that's
oh,
it.
it is.
You have
But
to be able to yeah.
yeah, I think for me, I had the bonus of I didn't know any different. Whereas if you're a little bit older, maybe, and you've been to uni and you've had the uni life or the college
Yeah,
life, and then
exactly.
you all of a sudden you join like a military organisation, sometimes they just
Yeah,
realise that because they've had the other world.
exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, it's a lot.
um, yeah. Whereas I didn't know any different. I've been to school. That's all I've ever known. And then
Yeah,
this was just
yeah.
the new thing that I was doing. Um,
Brilliant. So did you do brass bands as well? And because there's like the military wind bands. Did you
The
play?
military wind band, yeah.
Yeah.
So we used to have regular lessons with a professional. I can't think who. Mine was Paul Yates. He was. I think he played for the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra or something
All
like
right.
that.
Yeah.
And then they had Don Lusher was there as the trombone instructor. So you
Oh,
had really good
yeah.
teachers. All like used to come travel from London to Portsmouth just to teach
Just
us
to
our instruments,
really,
which you wouldn't get in Civvy Street really. And it was all
that's
free. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's the
this.
thing, isn't it? It's an amazing. So like, and then so you can do any courses. Did you know like that's it, isn't it? You could do your qualifications if you wanted to, I suppose.
Yeah,
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 you know, and
yeah. You got the chance to do a music degree.
want
For
to.
me, it's something that I probably should have done, but I didn't. But loads of opportunities. I did quite a lot of brass quintets. That's kind of I like doing the smaller ensembles. And usually when you went on a gig, you didn't have your boss there, you didn't have your bandmaster there, so you were a little bit more relaxed. You could enjoy it. You could enjoy it a bit more, and that was kind of my thing, is doing the smaller ensemble work. But it was amazing. I'm just trying to think what kind of trumpet things I've done. I think one of the ones that sticks out is being on Strictly Come Dancing, live at Wembley. And we had to pre-record Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, I think it was, and then on the night we actually mimed. The music came on and we all stood there and we mimed, looked like we were amazing, and then all the dancers came and danced in between us, and
that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it was great. It was really good fun. But obviously doing all the big military, the pageants and stuff in London for the late Queen, and
yes, so you'll have been, so you'll have done all that.
So
and all the parades and the marching. See, that's it. You have to like marching, don't you?
I love to march. Absolutely love
to march. I love marching.
Proud as punch I am when I'm marching.
When you march, exactly.
And sometimes you get so close to the crowd and they're all waving and shouting and clapping, and it's just amazing. I absolutely love a good parade. Good parade is
brilliant, absolutely fantastic. So
I do miss it.
I bet you do, isn't it? I know. See, that's the thing, isn't it? It's because like it'll have been so intense for you every day, won't it?
Yeah.
What did you get like? What would like be a normal day when you were in as a Royal Marine? What would be like a typical day for you?
A typical day. So so we'd start the day at 8:30. Always start with a cup of tea, obviously. And then just get your instruments, warm up. And then depending on what gigs we had in at the time, we would have just a rehearsal schedule. And if you're on that particular gig, you would go in that particular rehearsal. And the boss is usually a captain or a major. So they've obviously got a lot of experience behind them, and it's just doing as they want us to play, really. Loads of really fun music, lots of modern music. I usually found myself on the bottom trumpet. That's not anything to do with my playing. It's just that they just needed this. Well, I suppose they needed the strong players down the bottom, because I will blow my own trumpet. I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. You had your solo cornet players that would always sit in the same top seats, because they only played the cornet and trumpet, whereas everybody who sat below them in the section, like myself, also played another instrument. So there would always be your solo cornets, your second cornets, and your trumpet players. But rehearsals all day long, just morning. We used to finish really early, which was always a good bonus. So our normal working day used to finish about 3:30, which we had to keep a little bit quiet, because but you can only play for so many hours. Do you know what I mean? Your lift goals. There's always your pending breaks, because it's important to have a bit of a break and a rest, because it gets so full on. So finishing at 3:30, actually, when you've been playing since 9:00.
Exactly.
It is a long day,
isn't it? Yeah, exactly.
It is a really long day. So stamina was a massive thing. And when we used to go on leave, if you didn't play, you would just come back and you were at square one again, because your lips just lost its.
Can you imagine?
So that was always a bit of a problem. You soon got into it. I was just going to say, you soon got back into it.
That's the thing, isn't it? Straight back in.
You had no choice but to. But
What about some of your tours then, Jen? Because you went to Australia, didn't you?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough in 2008 to be chosen to represent the Royal Marines Band Service for 4 months to go to
Wow.
Australia to
4 months.
work with the Royal Australian Navy Band, which are based in Sydney and Melbourne. So primarily, I spent most of my time in Sydney, but absolutely amazing 4 months. It's probably the highlight of my career because I was there on my own. I was the only bandy from the UK, and it
Yeah.
was amazing. That
I
I've just,
bet.
I was so lucky. Um, and it was brilliant. I did gigs where there was wild kangaroo on the parade square. Honestly, just really surreal
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Um, and it is true that there's some massive spiders in Australia.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. But I did some lovely gigs in some gorgeous churches in Sydney. Um, I'm just trying to think what I did. I had quite a lot of free time, which was nice because
yeah.
they wanted me to explore. Like I might
Really?
only be there once. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
People dream of going to Australia.
Exactly. Isn't it amazing? For 4 months
Yeah,
as well.
for 4 months. So, but I managed to play in Perth. Perth's quite a big port where loads of ships come back from being away for months at sea. So I did quite a few homecomings, which always get me a little bit
Oh,
emotional
yeah.
because got all the loved ones and that.
Oh,
Melbourne, I went to Melbourne, and that's where the school, I suppose, the School of Music is in Melbourne. So you're playing at weekly pass outs, and again you're experiencing everybody at the start of their careers, and all their proudest punch families are all there.
oh,
So it was there were brilliant gigs. Australians are lovely. I still keep in touch with quite a few of them.
dear, what an
Um,
experience. Dear me, you've done some
yeah,
great stuff, haven't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been really colourful, and I loved it. It suited me down to the ground,
Like,
and
yeah, it sounds it. That's the thing, isn't it? And
yeah.
memories and friends that you've got for life, haven't you?
Well,
Oh,
that's it. You do. You
that's
make
it.
friends for
Yeah,
life. I
yeah.
mean, couple of my friends now. We don't speak for months on end, but when we get together,
That's it.
it's like you've never been apart.
So brilliant. Yeah.
And we've been good friends since day one, really, week one. Um,
Oh, that's
and it is,
fantastic.
and everybody always looks after each other as well, which is
Yeah.
lovely. It really is a really good support network, the Royal Marines Band, and I'm sure everywhere else is.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
it's just really special. Oh yeah, I mean it's been jam packed, to be honest. It was quite full on at times, quite full on the rehearsal schedules and things for the things we did, but so many. I think one of the best ones that I did do, was at the Royal Albert Hall. It was Mountbatten Festival of Music. That's when my mum and dad used to come down, and they used to bring their brass bandies along,
Yeah.
and they used to sit in the choir stalls behind the band, and we used to perform. Um, it was an annual performance, but it was the Royal Albert Hall's amazing to play in. I mean, you don't get much better than that.
No.
And I was lucky enough to stand out the front and do some like Cayley band features and encores. Uh, and the applause and the fireworks at the end, and just the atmosphere is absolutely electric in the Albert Hall.
Brilliant.
Absolutely love it. I've done the Festival of Remembrance in there, which is so, like, it's an absolute privilege to be there, and obviously all the veterans that attend, and it's magic, and it's so nice to perform at such a you're there to, Festival of Remembrance, you're there to remember all what happened and what's
Yeah.
gone on, and still being in a military family.
Yeah.
Lee's been away to war zones and things, and it makes me art.
Yeah.
It really gets me emotional every year, but absolutely magic. Done performances in Buckingham Palace Gardens. I remember when I first went to Buckingham Palace, and the late Queen, bless her, she's that you see the curtains twitching, and she's opening the curtains and she's having a peek outside the windows and having a look on the lawn and see what's going on.
Brilliant.
And again at Holyrood Palace in Scotland, when we used to do the Royal Week, we used to do some garden, like little concerts in the garden. And she used to be in attendance there, bless her. And then quite a few of the royals used to be there. And they used to come over and used to talk to the band. And I've actually shook Prince William's hand. He came to one of my gigs, and he actually came over and spoke to me, and I was a bit, but he shook my hand and he says, "Oh, thanks for the music, thanks for being here," and it was lovely. I've done
Brilliant.
the Olympics 2012 London Olympics.
Fantastic.
I witnessed the first Olympic gold medal. It was the rowing. We were eating Dorney. And again, atmosphere is amazing. Most of the gigs are made by the public, and the reaction that you get from the public as well. If you've got a really good audience, it makes all the difference. Because we've all done it. There's nothing worse when you sat there and you just don't get any feedback and you get no vibes. And so the more you get from your audience and your surroundings, it makes it so much more memorable. So much more memorable. And there's a random gig. I'll always remember it. My mum mentioned it a couple of months ago, actually. I once went to a charity event, and it was a parade band, and it was a dinner, and there was a dance floor, and we did like a little beat and retreat, little display, marching display. And then it was like an auction. It was a silent auction. And the Stig from was it Top Gear? The Stig was off Top, and nobody knew who the Stig was, did they?
No.
And Stig was there, and Tony Hadley was doing the music for it, and I've got loads of photos. Yes. And we all ended up having a good disco and a good dance to the Gold. It's Gold.
I love that.
And we're all just having an absolute blast, because we're like, is this really happening? Are we really here, like partying with Tony Hadley? But it honestly, it was just so much fun. And been on Strictly Come Dancing, Wembley Arena, absolutely never been there before. Wembley is huge. I mean, all the top bands, all top performances all happen there, and just to be there, and all the Strictly dancers, and they're all dancing between the band as we're all playing.
So was that it then? Was that the Strictly tour then at Wembley?
It was one of the. It was a live performance. They don't do it anymore. I think it was one of the actual episodes. And they just wanted a military band. But it was when Denise Van Outen was one of the celebrities on it. Kimberly Walsh, the Olympian Louis, I forget his surname. He was my favourite. Lisa Riley off Emmerdale was there. I've had all my photos taken with him. I used to stop him in the corridor. He's going, "Can I have a photo with you?" And obviously all the professionals, and Kylie Minogue was actually. We were supposed to clear the Wembley Hall, but we kind of sneaked in quietly, me and a few of the girls, and we sat and we watched Kylie Minogue's rehearsal, because she was performing that night. And it was brilliant. It was like Kylie Minogue, like watching Kylie Minogue. But honestly, there's just so much stuff. Horse Guards Parade. I've done a fanfare team, and playing a fanfare trumpet's totally different to cornet and trumpet. But I absolutely love playing the fanfare team. I always feel so proud, because it's such a small team. You're like 15, 14 players. And the one that I did, the year that I was on fanfare team, I was the only female as well. So I was quite a lot shorter than all the men that were amongst me. But when we did we marched past the royal box, I felt so much taller and prouder, shall we say. I was doing it for the ladies.
Good on you.
Yeah. And more recently, in recent years, been on the HMS Queen Elizabeth ship. I did her maiden voyage to America. That was 4 months. First time I've ever been on a ship, ever done anything like that. And I loved it. The band were quite busy. We kept the troops happy on board ship, and it was an experience. Don't think I'd want to do it again. Luckily, I haven't had to do it again. Once was enough for me.
Was it?
Sea
Yeah.
is not for me. The sea, there was quite a few with seasickness. It didn't affect me too much, but yeah, sea's not for me. But I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
I'll always try everything once. That's what I always kept saying to all the younger bandies as they came in. If you offered something, always take them up on it,
Yeah.
because you just miss out. It's nice to get views from all these different experiences. It makes you grow and it makes you
Of course it
develop.
does. Of course
And
it
I
does. Yeah.
and I made to sergeant, and I had so much advice that I could offer people as they were joining the Royal Marines band. It really does make a difference. And I enjoyed talking about everything that I'd done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I always said, look, volunteer for everything. It's not a bad thing. Volunteering is a good thing. Make sure you
Yeah.
always
Oh,
volunteer. Um, and I did. I volunteered for 2008. I went to Australia for 4 months. I was chosen to represent the Royal Marines Band Service, and I worked with the Royal Australian Navy Band for 4 months, which was it is probably the best thing that I did in the 24 years. Um, and one of the gigs that I did there that sticks out was we flew to Tonga,
right.
which is just paradise. It's
Oh,
just paradise. And we were there to celebrate the coronation of the king. And
right.
we actually did a big parade. And after the 3 hour, I think it was about 3.5 hours. It was a long parade in red hot heat as well. I remember. And then everybody was invited into the king's back garden. We were all
Really?
in a big tent, and we all sat, and there was a hog roast and fresh fish, and everybody was drinking out of a coconut, and
Oh,
the women of Tonga were stood at your side, and they were wafting these big leaves to keep the flies off the food and the flies out your face because it was so hot.
yeah.
Um, but I mean, it all just stems from the music. I haven't really spoken a lot about the music, but everything kind of comes from the gig,
Yeah.
and it is what you make of it. Like I
That's
say, volunteer for everything, put your heart into it, enjoy it,
mm,
smile,
mm,
and it's just so much more enjoyable.
that's it.
Um,
So like amazing memories, and they're gonna last with you forever, aren't they? Yeah.
oh, they are. I mean,
And make you the person you are. You know.
yeah, they do,
Yeah.
because yeah, they're what molded me really. Like I said, I made it to sergeant, and I'm so chuffed and proud of myself. Um, and with it came a lot of experience because I just volunteered for everything.
Yeah.
um, like I say, it's not a bad thing. But yeah, loved it. So many highlights, so many.
Brilliant.
And I do miss it, but it was definitely time to leave when I left. I felt like there was nothing more that I could kind of give. I'd kind of done it.
Yeah.
Um, so I retired when I was 40. Now, my partner is in the army. He's away a lot. And we had Lily in COVID year, which which we won't talk about. Um, I just turned 37 a couple of weeks after Lily was born, and Lee went away for 7 months, and he missed out on a lot.
Oh,
And it was just one of them things where I was approaching my 22 years, well, nearly 24. I ended up doing, because I joined at 16, just that little bit extra.
yeah.
And I just thought, Lily's at a really nice age where she wants a mum around all the time.
Mm.
Um, and Lee's away with the army quite a lot. And we were having to rely on my parents quite heavily. Sometimes we were both away at the same time.
Yeah.
And we used to have to pack Lily off for weeks on end to my mum and dad's, which they absolutely loved. She had a great time, but it's not something that I would want to do.
Mm.
Um, and I just fancied a change.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think things because of the way things had changed since I joined in '99. Um, I always used to say, "Oh, it's not like the old days. It's not like the old days," and it never is. Everything
Oh,
progresses and everything
yeah.
evolves, and I
Yeah.
just thought, right, I'm coming up to 40.
That's it,
It's
isn't it? It's a
time.
decision, isn't
It's
it? Yeah.
time
It's
because
time.
because because I've seen a lot of people stay in a lot longer, and
Mm.
I just think you've got to go at some point. You,
Yes.
you can't you can't keep going.
Mm.
And I just
And with having Lily, that's it, isn't it?
that's it.
Yeah, it makes things, yeah. It,
Yeah, and we
you have
came to
time with it.
L- Lee got a post-academic, and it was brilliant. Parents are an hour away. They got to
Yeah.
spend more time with Lily now, and they got a bit more of a relationship there. And it's nice that I can just jump in the car and go up the road to my mum and dad's really and help out bands
Yeah,
and listen.
exactly,
Do you know
isn't
what
it?
I mean? I've got a bit of so I am definitely getting me
Getting back
music
to like
fix.
it, isn't it? Yeah, exactly, isn't it? Yeah, because one of the things that you've been doing since you've left is, which I really love, is your Jen's bald bags, isn't it?
Yeah, so
And
I
your
actually,
tell
yeah,
us about
Jen's
that.
bald bags. I've never been able to sew, and well, for years on and years, I've always said, "Oh, I really want to learn to sew." So just before I left in 2023, I did a 6-week course.
Yeah,
Because one of the things about being in the military is you can't commit um, um, far in advance. Because if work comes in, you've got to go and do the work, obviously. So if
yeah.
I'm signing up for a 6-week course,
Mhm.
um, I'm not guaranteed to go to them for them full 6 weeks. So I knew that I had a 6-week block where I could go and do what I wanted to do, and I went and did it, and I made a few bags at these courses, and I absolutely loved it, and I just got the bug straight away. I find it so relaxing, and it's been so good for my mental health because when I came out after 24 years and I moved to a new town, didn't know anybody, didn't have a job,
Yeah,
um, managed to get Lily into a nursery fine. But for me, I'd kind of taken myself away from everything that I knew.
yeah,
And I thought it'd be easy. I thought, yeah, I'm going to leave. It's going to be brilliant. I can't wait. And then literally you shut that door and you're just like, what am I going to do now?
yeah,
It was really hard. Um, But I found comfort in making my bags. I used to sit for hours while Lily was at nursery and Lee's at work, just sewing and sewing. And then I was
sewing,
like,
yeah.
who am I gonna make them for? Like I'm running out of people to make them for. So I thought, "Do you know what?
Fantastic, aren't they?
I'm
They're
gonna stick them on
fantastic to buy
Facebook.
one. Yeah,
I'm gonna stick them on Facebook and see what I can do." And then I got sucked into my first craft fair and I absolutely loved it. I love talking to people. You get so many hints and tips to what to do next and how to do things a bit better maybe. And and I just found myself just searching online for craft fairs that I could go to, and I didn't know if I was gonna be able to keep it all up, but I just can't I put the sewing machine away for Christmas to enjoy Christmas with my family, and I just
yeah.
had to get it out because I just missed having me
Oh,
lit I just
yeah.
missed it. I just had to get me sewing machine out and do it, and I've got loads now. I've just been cutting this morning just before I came on to talk to you, Joanne, and I've
Have
got
you
me
been? Yeah, because
yeah.
I know, because I know you sadly lost your auntie, didn't you?
I
This-
did, yeah. Yeah. So at the minute, I'm making lavender hearts. It's something that she wanted to do for Teesside Hospice, who were a massive support to her and her family throughout a cancer battle. And she asked me for scraps of fabric. It was only literally about a couple of months before she passed away, bless her. And I
Oh,
said, "Yeah, I've got loads for you, Kay." And
mhm.
obviously, she just went downhill really quickly, and we lost her, and it was all very sad. And I thought,
Yeah,
right, I know what I need to do. And I wanted to make these lavender hearts for her in her memory. And I've already raised just over £350 for Teesside
brilliant.
Hospice.
Oh,
Um,
that's fantastic. Because I've ordered some. I'm getting them off your
you
mum.
have, yeah, my mum's got them, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
get them off because yeah, I think that's
Yes.
a lovely thing to do, and the material's gorgeous, isn't it? All the
Oh,
different.
it is. Yeah, I've got so much material. We did so that I did some stag because she gave me the material last summer, and there was
Oh,
meters and meters and meters
oh,
of it.
was it?
And I said, Kay, what have you got all this for? She says, well, I was supposed to make some curtains, but I didn't get round to it. And I says,
Oh,
oh, I'll have it. I'll use it for something. I never knew what to use it for, but as soon as I got it in my head that this was something I wanted to do was make the hearts for Teesside Hospice, I was like, that stag fabric is the perfect go-to. Uh, so,
and
but
then another thing, you're working in a school, aren't you? You're doing, are you doing
yeah, so I'm a teaching assistant.
brilliant.
It's probably the one thing that I kind of wanted to do when I left. And happy. I absolutely love it. I even make little bags for some of the kids in the school
Oh,
to keep bits and bobs in. Um, yeah, so it's great. I love it, and it just suits me. I've got a little part time. It's 3 days a week. I said I didn't want to work full time because of Lily, because Lily's just started school. She's in reception now. She's doing amazing. And for
brilliant.
me, just having the time to go to drop her off at school and pick her up a couple of times a week is like
Yeah,
it's magic. It's everything.
that's lovely, isn't it? Yeah, it's
Yeah. So it means a lot. So I've got a really, really happy um balance of work, home life.
yeah.
I go to brass band, Cockatoo twice a week.
Oh, you're at Cockatoo.
Absolutely love them. They're
Yeah,
so they're so funny. They're a
because
great bunch.
that's it, isn't it? So what are you playing there then? Are you playing?
So I'm playing a bit of everything, to be honest. I've sat on front row. I played rep last night. I think I'm playing on third for the areas. So I think they're quite happy that I can just sit in any seat and play.
Flexible. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I love it. We have such
Oh,
a
lovely.
such a laugh.
Nice
Such a
fun.
laugh.
Ah, lovely.
And they welcomed me with open arms, and I think a few of them were looking at me, and then they were messaging me mum, and they were saying, "Oh, Josie, your doubles just walked in," and I was like, "Oh, do I look like it that much?" I was like, "Yeah, oh,
Oh,
Jennifer's joined," and it's lovely because they're friends of mum and dad's as well, so they've played in certain concerts where they've been missing a euphonium or a trombone player. So the three of us have managed to play in a few concerts together, and the same with T's Components last year.
oh, yes.
The three of us together, which is lovely,
I
just like
love
the
it.
the good old days.
See, that's the thing, isn't it? Because that's what I was thinking, right? Because we use the Teeth Components March as our
That's
theme.
right, yeah, we
You
did.
played on
I
that.
did, yeah, yeah.
At Saltburn Bandstand.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I was
right.
recording because it was like when we it was just laughing in the
Yeah,
bandstand. But you played that day and
yeah,
it was
I did, yeah. It was a lovely day that afternoon, wasn't it?
lovely, wasn't it nice? And
But
in the summer last year, yeah. We're doing it
yeah.
again this year. You'll have to come
Oh, I
if
will. I'll have to
you're
come
around.
along. Yeah,
Come and
yeah,
play again.
absolutely. No, but
Mm,
it's great because when I left the Royal Marines band service, because I've been more confident on my violin
mm,
than I ever was on my cornet,
mm,
I thought I'd play my violin more, but my
mm.
violin hasn't been out of its box for coming up
Oh,
to a year.
oh dear, right. So
Yeah,
you'll have to
that's just because I've preferred going to the brass band. I've really gone back to my
really
roots,
enjoying it.
like, yeah, and I like
Well done.
it.
Yeah, and you just have to
Uh,
go with it, don't you? Like,
yeah, absolutely. But it's been brilliant. And like I said, it's great playing with my mum and dad, and we've rehearsed a few things in the living room.
oh,
I've gone down from Catrick to Redcar, and we've all sat in the living room with our stands and
yeah,
having a bit of a practice together. And yeah, again, it just ends up getting the gin out and having a glass of gin usually. But yeah, do you know, it's just the little
yeah,
things,
of course it is, isn't
and
it? And just being able to do that. and just
yeah.
being able to pop across. Yeah.
And I tell you what,
Like,
I've noticed is since I've taken my uniform off and hung
mm,
it up, I've got a lot more confident on my corner.
have you really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've volunteered for stuff that I would never have volunteered for when I was in the job.
Yeah.
I did my first last post and reveille at my school in November. Never
Brilliant.
play I obviously heard it a lot,
Yeah,
but
but
I've
never.
never put myself forward to play it because I thought my nerves would get the better of me.
Yeah.
But I thought, "You know what? I've got a bit more confidence now. I'm gonna give it a go." And I played it and I was absolutely fine.
Brilliant.
But I
Yeah.
can get and what else have I done? I've played with Northallerton Musical Theatre Group. I've done a few of their productions where I've been the only trumpet player, and I've sat and I've
You
played things. I've played all these little solos and things, and I'm thinking, I would never have done this.
it just shows, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but now I've taken and I've relaxed a bit.
You relax. Yeah, and you're doing new things. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's really helped my confidence. Because going back to when I was in the Royal Marines band, I'd say it was the last 2, 3 years that I was in. I was getting a lot of anxiety out on parade because you
Yeah.
know what it's like now where everyone's got the phones and everyone's filming things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you've seen on the BBC News where soldiers have collapsed in the heat and they've
Oh,
filmed them
and the films
and
and
I
they've gone, yeah, gone
and my
viral. Yeah.
yeah, and my heart used to thump just in case something happened,
Yeah.
and that would happen to me, and
Mm.
it ruined my I love a parade, but
Yeah.
standing still on parade became a
Mm.
no-no for me because
Mm.
I was petrified of fainting and someone getting it on camera. And I used to be able to
Yeah.
stand for hours, and it
Yeah.
never used to bother me in my own little world, smart as a soldier,
Yeah.
thinking about what I was gonna have for me tea, what I had last night, what I'm doing for the weekend, what have you. I mean,
Yeah.
I stood for 3 hours for Kate and William's wedding in London,
Yeah.
and it was brilliant. I loved it, but
Yes.
I struggled to stand for 15 minutes by the time I'd finished. So that
Mm.
was another reason why I decided
Yeah.
that
The time's right. Yeah.
I'd had enough, and I couldn't keep putting myself through it.
Mm.
Um, but
I think
yeah, with that
that's it.
aside, it's done
Yeah.
wonders for my
Exactly.
confidence.
Yeah. Just goes on, doesn't it? Well, you do.
Yeah,
Thing is, like, well, like when you've come and played with us, you just came and you get your piece,
got
you know,
on with it, yeah.
you've got on with it, absolutely
Yeah,
no problems, you know,
yeah.
and I think that's it, isn't it now? You can just do whatever you want and like you've got all that experience anyway.
It's a hobby.
It is, it's your hobby, isn't it now?
It's a hobby now,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
means, yeah, everything because 'cause I've been doing it as my job. I've never
Mm,
had a hobby when I was in my job, but now I've got me cornet playing, I've got me bag making, and I'm just a much happier
yeah,
person really for leaving. It was definitely the right decision for me and my family.
yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
I just try and do as much if I'm offered anything or opportunity comes my way, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna take it. Just do it."
exactly, because you,
All
yeah,
about learning new things every day and when you can and
exactly. It is, isn't it? And I think that's it. And all from like you say, like from being a 8-year-old kid starting with your baritone all the way
yeah,
through, you know, music's been a big part of your life, and it
it
still
has.
is. It's just different now.
It's just different. That's
Just
exactly
different.
it.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's what works for you, isn't it?
It is
And I think
exactly that.
that's it, isn't it? And all your experiences of the over the years, they all just come in, don't they? And like the thing is, like you never know, you might do a bit of teaching or pass your experience on to
Yeah,
younger players, you know, when you feel
yeah,
like it, because you'll have
yeah,
so much that you can share with younger players, you know, even if you don't do you know what I mean? I think
yeah.
sometimes just talking to other younger players, it's different experiences. They're so valuable, aren't they?
It is, it is. I think, especially working in the school that I'm working in, music's not a thing.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to bring it
Oh,
into the
yeah.
school, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think it's really important.
Of course
Um,
it is, isn't it?
like you say, it's expressing yourself and it's good for mental health and it's a skill that you'll never forget and it'll carry on for. like, look at us, look at me mum and dad still playing, they absolutely
It's
love
still
it.
doing nothing, playing all that time.
I
Exactly.
know, they love it, bless them, and I love them for it.
It's absolutely brilliant. It brings us all together, and I think that's it, isn't it? The people you meet and everything through band, and like you say, you've got friends for life in the Royal Marines.
Yeah,
Well, it's a bit
absolutely.
like that in banding, isn't it? When you've been in like situations, when you've been in bands, you're practicing the same test piece over and over again, and it's intense. And I just
Yeah,
think, like years of that, you do get so many friendships from it all, don't you?
you do,
It's,
absolutely. Yeah, you do.
but thank you for coming on today. It's been
No,
fantastic. I've loved
thank
it.
you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Jen. I hope it all goes well, and you'll have to let us know when an update on how many parts you've sold, and I'll do
Oh,
a
I
on our
will,
Brassettes
absolutely.
page, because we'll have to put your advert on there actually.
Oh, that'd be
See if
nice. Yes,
anybody else,
please.
'cause that would be nice,
Yeah,
wouldn't it? See.
yeah, it would.
Thanks very much to Jen for coming on the Brassettes podcast and sharing a story about life in the Royal Marines Band and all the things that she's doing at the moment now she's left. Fantastic story. Hope you've enjoyed it, and watch out for the next Brassettes podcast coming out soon. Okay, bye for now. The music you can hear throughout the podcast is the T's Components March, and it's an original piece of music composed by Andrew Champion.